Hello everyone, we are here to discuss a really exciting and innovative project today. Do you mind just introducing yourselves?
Hi, I'm Maria Cheshire Allen and I'm a postdoctoral researcher at the Centre for Ageing and Dementia Research at Swansea University.
Hi, I'm Abby Davis. I'm the Project Support Officer at the Dementia Hub in Swansea, and I also had a 3-month post at Swansea University as a research officer with Maria.
Oh, that's brilliant. So what's the background to your project and what's this research area focused upon?
Well, this work is focused on what's commonly referred to as the care crisis in the UK. So, really, that's just looking at the areas of long-term care. So, care needs are growing and becoming more complex, and with that, there's an increasing amount of care that's delivered by unpaid carers and complex care. So, there's less support for people now to be able to manage independently in the home, and there's more need. So with that, there is more burden on so-called burden on the unpaid carer. So my research has been traditionally focused on unpaid carers and looking at their well-being outcomes. And we know that carers, compared to non-caring populations, generally fare worse across all sorts of different well-being domains. So really, this project was looking at how unpaid carers can be supported through the third sector, and specifically because we are working in Swansea, I sort of partnered up with the local what's called the Dementia Hub in Swansea to really look more in depth at what support is provided by a local third sector organisation and to unpaid carers, and specifically unpaid carers of people living with dementia.
Well, that sounds very, very important work that you're doing. Do you mind giving me a brief timeline of the process so far? So for someone who doesn't know about this project yet, what have you achieved so far?
Well, so we've done loads, haven't we? In a very short amount of time, I think it's been really good. So it began as most research projects do with a literature review, looking at sort of broadly general sort of debates and discussions around the role of the third sector, and that helped to inform then some of the methods that we used, which were mainly we carried out focus groups with sort of broad range of key actors involved in delivering support through the third sector to unpaid carers. So we held 4 focus groups during October, November, both in the Dementia Hub, in the local Carers Centre, and online, with various different organisations and carers themselves. And then after that, we did some analysis. We submitted a research paper, which is abstract has been accepted and is currently in development.
Congratulations.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I mean, that was a big hit. But one of the most important, I think, things was really doing the engagement event, which was on the 25th of May. So that was our feedback, celebration, discussion. Let's kind of hear about more about the work and bring people who have been involved in the project so far into the same room, have some lunch and talk about the issues and the things that we've found. So that was really the highlight, is to actually see people in person again.
Definitely. I mean, I was at that event and that the vibe was brilliant and it was so brilliant to see all the support from everyone. And what's so good about the Research Wales Innovation Fund, that it's bringing people, real people, to these projects and to these events. It's not just all behind the screen and there's things going on. So that's really brilliant.
Yeah, I think we had at least 10 different local and national organisations representing the third sector. So we had people like WCVA, Wales Council for Voluntary Action, obviously the Dementia Hub, lots of different organisations, Dementia, Alzheimer's UK, who were coming together really to talk about their shared role in supporting unpaid carers of people living with dementia. So it was really nice to have people in the room.
Yeah, it was really nice as well to hear people's feedback from what we were saying, and the fact that they wanted to take what we'd learned on board with them as well. And also there was a lot of networking going on, and people, chatting to other organisations and saying what can we do to help each other and all that kind of stuff. So it was really cool to have that face-to-face with people.
That's what I found very interesting, actually, because when you go to something like this and you think, well, are they competitors? They are technically competing for, the most recognition in Swansea. They're supporting people. But when I was at the event, I just felt that everyone was there for the same purpose and we're all there to support each other, which I think is really, really nice to experience.
Yeah, and that's something that we've discussed in our research as well, that there is a little bit of competition between sectors because everybody has to apply for the same funding pots. But when you do put everyone in the room together, everybody does want the same outcome, I think. So everyone does want to help each other. So yeah.
There's definitely something in that, in the findings, wasn't there, that sort of on the surface of it, we found there was definitely discussion around with the partner organisations, competition between and within third sector organisations, and this kind of feeling that, you have to keep there's a bit of protectionism and you have to keep your client group to yourself. You can't, and that obviously is absolutely no help whatsoever to the unpaid carer or the person living with dementia and their family. So they all recognise that, but it's more of a system problem. We found most people recognised that and found that frustrating, and were very willing and saw a key role in the Dementia Hub of bringing people together and trying to overcome those systemic barriers, really, isn't
definitely.
it? So there's a lot of goodwill, and they saw that the Dementia Hub was a physical place where you get all the different partner organisations just to be in one space for an afternoon or a daytime helps build relationships, really, and trust, isn't it? And that was one of the key findings, that not only the Dementia Hub is providing essential information, advice, support to families and people themselves, but also is providing that kind of glue for third sector, for civil society. So that was a really interesting sort of finding for the project as well.
Yeah, definitely. Do you want me to give a little bit of background on the Dementia Hub itself?
Oh, I'd love to. Yeah, I'd love to hear more.
So basically what we're a registered charity now, but we're a one-stop shop for people who've been affected by dementia, whether they think they may have dementia, if they have a diagnosis, if they're a carer. We've even had professionals come in just looking for advice and information. So we've got a little shop basically in the quadrant in Swansea, and we've got posters on all of our walls with different categories, like aids for living with dementia, what is dementia, research in dementia. And it's just a nice little informal place where people can come in, have a chat with either the staff or some of our volunteers. And we kind of just direct people to what organisation will help them the most, what's going to be suited for their needs, which again I think ties in with our research. We're trying to break down that barrier then, because there's no bias in who we send them to, it's just whoever is going to fill their need. We've also got a safe haven running at the minute as well. So that's a little space at the back where people who've got a diagnosis of dementia can come in, they can have a sit down with one of our safe haven carers, have a chat, have a cup of tea. It's just a nice place to chill out, really. And we've also started a telephone hub as well, so for people who aren't able to make it into town, they can ring us up from 11 till 3 then in the day, or send us an email, and we'll do exactly the same as what we would have done in the hub. We'll signpost them, and we'll do follow-ups with them to check that everything's going okay. But yeah, so that's basically what the hub is.
That sounds absolutely amazing, because what the Research Wales Innovation Fund really loves to do is make direct impact to the community, and from your research projects, although you're obviously finding out research, and in the meantime you are impacting people's lives and making a positive difference, which is just so rewarding as well. That must feel really, really great.
Yeah, definitely. And it's really cool as well, since working with Maria, we've we have got an MOU in place now, meaning that the Dementia Hub is going to be working with Swansea University to inform research then, and then once the research conducted and we find out, what the findings are, we can implement it in the hub then, because we really want to become like a gold standard basically, and we want to keep up to date, and we want to make sure that the people who we're directly impacting are involved in what's happening with them.
Definitely. So what do you think the importance and the value of research is in this area? Because a lot of people probably don't know that research is important. What do you really feel?
I think, like I said, it's just keeping up to date, and it's making sure that we're taking new things into consideration, or uncovering, turning stones that we wouldn't have looked under before, making sure we're meeting the unrepresented groups, just having people's voices heard and then taking action on what we're hearing, and instead of just, having a closed door meeting and deciding this is what they need without actually taking anyone else into consideration. But as well, research can kind of just help with new coping mechanisms, new ways for carers to have like peer support and stuff like that as well. I think it's just a really good way of moving forward instead of just staying where we are.
Definitely. And do you feel like there was much research done in students' carers before you guys started this project, or do you think it was an under-researched area?
So we weren't only concentrating on student carers, we were looking at basically any unpaid carers. So no matter what age group they were or gender, we were taking everybody's accounts into consideration. So it would be really nice once our research can also be shared with the students of Swansea University, because a lot of people, especially younger people, I feel, don't realise that they're carers sometimes, even though they're carrying out a caring role, and they may spend hours and hours of their week worrying about the person that they're caring for,
Yeah.
but not realise that they may be entitled to certain support or benefits. And, I feel like they might just think it's a responsibility of theirs that they can't share with anyone else.
Definitely. And have you found that you've motivated some people to go into caring at all, or spoken to people and they feel like that's an area they'd like to research more?
I think we've definitely sort of helped. It's a two-way street, isn't it? So I think looking at the idea of care is generally very sort of making a huge generalisation, but it's generally quite negative. So I began by speaking about the care crisis, and so there's always such a sort of negative blanket sort of surrounding care, especially older age care and dementia care. And one of the key things that I've found whenever I've worked with Swansea Carers Centre or the Dementia Hub, or any of the sort of directly working with people, is that there's lots and lots of fun. There's always the horrible crisis situations, and that's why it's so great that you're there. But there's so much fun and joy to be found in just working directly with people and families, that there's no way I could be a researcher in this space without having that direct contact with local organisations. So I think what the research can do, and what working with a local charitable organisation can do, is it can make everything become more real, and also challenge, like as a researcher, my sort of biases. Or, I've traditionally worked in older age care, talking about student carers, they're often unidentified for various reasons, because care is often associated with older age. So there's lots of sort of benefits from working closely together, and as a result of the RUIF funding, having this strategic relationship now with the Dementia Hub through the Memorandum of Understanding, I think will only support that further. And just it's great because it just takes you into all sorts of different directions you wouldn't normally go, just by sitting with Abby in the Dementia Hub and being, party to some of the conversations with consent that people are coming in asking about. It does trigger, as a researcher, different questions and different reflections then that can be taken forward. And that is really how our research has to be planned and delivered, is directly informed by the problem that comes from the families and the people themselves. Otherwise, our research, it can't maximise its impact, really. So it's been a hugely enriching and great experience to have the space and the funding to be able to do that with the Dementia Hub and the other organisations.
Yes, definitely. I know about the fellowship proposal as well. So do you mind just going into that in more detail?
So one of the other sort of outcomes was to use the RUIF funding, like I say, to inform research questions. So working directly with the Dementia Hub to develop ideas that I'd been having around the role of the third sector in supporting unpaid care. And that really was taken forward through a fellowship proposal that I'm happy to say has been funded.
Congratulations.
So that means that I've been given an award from the 1st of October to work for 3 years, looking more specifically at an organisation that comes within the blanket term of the third sector, social enterprise organisations. So they are organisations that have any profit that's generated has to be put back into social and environmental purpose. And increasingly we're looking at how different alternative models of care can respond to this care crisis. And social enterprise organisations are one of those models in which Welsh Government, lots of evidence is suggesting could potentially be sort of an innovator and help give people more support, including unpaid carers. So this work has been directly informed by the fellowship, the fellowship has been directly informed by the RUIF funded findings, and it's been a success in that we've got the funding. So we'll continue to be working closely with Dementia Hub. You'll be part of the advisory group and helping, support in lots of different ways. But yeah, it's been a great outcome, and that it's generated £280,000 in additional funding.
Wow.
So it's great, and obviously personally, it's a great achievement for myself to be able to continue in what is quite a passion, and to look at this sort of broad area of third sector innovation.
Yes, definitely. And what are the next steps of this project? Where do you see it going in the future?
Well, obviously with the fellowship, it's obviously going forward in that way. But I think it's been the having the memorandum of understanding means that we are just working in partnership going forward, and I think we'll just be continuing the conversations and discussions. Abby and I have got the paper still to write and submit. So I'm hoping that that just all of that work will continue. Really, we've been invited to speak at various different events. In one conference in America that I'll be speaking at. So we're kind of spreading ourselves far and wide. But I think having that memorandum of understanding really helps formalise it, and means that as a university we have you as a strategic partner. Our sort of civil society sort of partnership arrangements with you have been enhanced because of the RUIF funding. And like I say, the exciting thing about this work is working directly with community groups and organisations. You don't really know where things are going to go, and that's kind of fun bit, really, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And like the relationship, I feel like could always be there as well, because there's always going to be stuff to improve. I think the hub is happy to accept that we want to move forward with all the research that we're doing. And then same with the university, obviously research is always going to get done. So any improvements that could be made over time is just going to be amazing. And it'd be nice to continue the conversations as well.
Yes, definitely. And I know you've mentioned before as well about having a dementia diagnosis in the hub, so people can get diagnosed comfortably and in a safe space. And what do you think the importance of doing things in a comfortable environment and a safe space, and being able to chat to someone who you feel not going to judge you? How do you feel like that's so important as well?
When people come in and they're concerned about their memory, and they genuinely think they may have dementia, obviously that's a really difficult thing for people to come in and just speak to strangers about. But one of the things I love about the hub is we don't have a door that you need to open yourself. It's just shutters, so they're constantly open and you can just walk in. And I feel like from that second it's quite inviting. And you can have a sit down, you can tell us your concerns. Normally we would advise you to speak to your GP, just because there's other things that can lead to similar symptoms of dementia. But again, if they've gone down that route and they're still concerned that it may be dementia, something that we offer in the hub now is memory assessments. So it's not necessarily a direct diagnosis, but it is something that you can go forward to your GP with. And then obviously you'll need to get like your bloods done and a CT scan, or any scans that you may need. But I think the importance of being in a place like the Hub to discuss stuff like that is just the fact that we're not going to judge you. We haven't got a time limit. We're happy to just sit there and listen to all of your concerns. And if you want to come back the following day, or if you need to leave mid-conversation if it's too much, like, it's absolutely fine. No one's judging. We all just want to help. And yeah, I feel like you can see like the relief off people's shoulders by the time they're leaving as well, because a lot of the time, what we've heard anyway is that people have had their diagnosis and then haven't had the support straight away after, and they're not sure where to turn. And you know, before I started working at the Hub as well, I had no idea how much support there actually is out there. It's just accessing it and knowing where to look and knowing what you need to get done. So we do have like a little checklist basically of things that we know people need to sort once they've had a diagnosis, making sure that the power of attorney is in place, checking for any entitlement of benefits, making sure care is in place, peer support groups, and just that the carer and the person with the diagnosis themselves are both having still a good quality of life. Because just because you've had the diagnosis, it doesn't mean that you're a different person.
Yeah.
You know, you've still got your life. You still want to carry out your independence for as long as you can, and then the support there to maintain the independence as well. But yeah, I think the carer side of it as well, when they come in with the person who's receiving a diagnosis, it's really important to make sure that the carer knows what support is out there for them, because burnout is 100% a real thing. Carer burnout, and yeah, they deserve respite as well. They deserve a break and someone to talk to about it. So a lot of the time we do end up signposting to peer support groups, because, you know, who better to talk to than someone who knows what situation you're in yourself. And we're quite lucky in the Hub that, well, it's lucky in some ways, but a lot of the people volunteering and working there have been directly affected by dementia themselves, which means that they have that deeper understanding then, and they can really relate to the people who are coming in, which I think is really important.
Yes, definitely. And how can I keep up to date with all your progress? Are you on social media?
Yeah, so the Dementia Hub is on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I think we're just at Dementia Hub, but it's HWB, Welsh. But yeah, so you can find us on there. And we've also got a website, Dementia Friendly Swansea. So yeah, so you can find us on there. But if you're local to Swansea, then we're in the Quadrant Shopping Centre near Superdrug and the bus station. So it's easy just to walk in, open 11 till 3 every day. So if ever any researchers wanted to pop in to speak to us as well, we're more than happy to. We're working with Maria at Swansea here, but we're also working with Trinity, St David University. So yeah, we're working with them at the minute as well. So we're just happy to share information. We've had a lot of people visiting Wales from around the world, which has been really cool.
Wow.
And there's been like professionals from other countries popping in. So we've had a lady from New Zealand the other day. We've had some from Canada, Australia. Yeah, it's really cool because people come in and they're like, we haven't got one of these. We've never seen one of these. So yeah, it's really awesome. But yeah, just anytime anyone wants to come and see us, they're more than welcome to.
I'm always impressed by the open door policy. And so not just sort of literally an open door, but also as professionals, they're just willing for me as like a curious researcher to sort of go in there and prod around. And it's always been, and that's the same with the Swansea Carers Centre as well. They're very open and not precious at all, and very willing and wanting to engage with research, which is wonderful, and I'm very grateful for that.
Definitely. Well, thank you both so much for your hard work, because, like I said before, this is a Research Wales Innovation funded project that is really, really impacting people's lives. And for everyone involved, that's just so special. So thank you both so much, and it was lovely to chat to you today.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank
Bye.
you.